When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
All right, third hour of the show. Let's talk about a major court case. A jury in Los Angeles has found tech giants Meta and Google. Meta, of course, responsible for Instagram and Facebook, WhatsApp. Google, of course, the owner of YouTube, found them liable for creating platforms ideal for social media addiction. The lawsuit was brought on by a young woman who argued that features on platforms like Instagram and YouTube were designed in ways that contributed to her dependency from a young age. The woman has been awarded $6 million US in damages. It's a landmark decision that could influence thousands of similar cases, not only in the U.S., but across the globe. Let's now go to Matthew Bergman. Joins us again. He's a founding attorney of the Social Media Victims Law Center, represented the plaintiff in this one. Mr. Bergman, Matthew, thanks for coming back.
It's good to be back, Elias, and it's good to be back after such a good result.
Tell me about how it felt when that verdict came in.
Well, it felt like vindication of a 4-year struggle to hold social media companies accountable for the carnage that their platforms are inflicting on young people. It was a momentous moment. It was a watershed in the ongoing effort to hold social media companies accountable. And it was an honor to be part of that effort.
You know how the court system works much better than I do. I'm sure there are appeals coming and a whole bunch of other stuff. So just the celebration you have right now, like, what level are we at here? And I'm sure this initial ruling bodes well for you, but how do you view that side of things?
Well, yeah, of course they're going to appeal. But we are confident that the judge presided over the case, called the balls and strikes fairly and judiciously, and that there was no legal error, and that the verdict will stand. And if we have to wait a few years, that's fine, because we have set a goalpost or a milestone in what is going to be a long, hard fight. This is the first battle, and we have no illusions that these companies are going to knuckle under, but they should have no illusions that we will be anything other than resolute in holding them accountable and calling them to task.
What do you think were the factors in getting you a legal victory here? What do you think swayed the jury? What's the evidence that was presented where you said, it's going to be hard for a jury not to side with us?
Yeah, I think the key evidence were the internal documents, what Meta and YouTube were saying inside the company, where they specifically designed their platforms to be addictive to young people and used the term addiction ad infinitum. I think when the jury saw those documents and then heard Mark Zuckerberg testify and say, we don't target kids, we're not addictive, it's just that people really like our platform a lot, I think the jury saw through that. And they wanted to hold this company accountable. And I think what's particularly impactful about this result is that not only did the jury find that Meta and YouTube were negligent, it found that they were malicious. And I think that is, and assessed an additional penalty of $3 million over the initial $3 million.
Now, are there not punitive damages to come as well? Could this actual tally here go much higher?
No, the punitive damages were $3 million. The compensatory damages were $3 million.
Is that total $6 million total? Is it enough?
Yes.
Is it enough to for these companies to start thinking twice?
Yes, it is, because this is one of thousands of cases that they are going to be facing, and this was, thank God, a case in which KGM is still with us. She's still moving forward with her life. There's so many cases where parents have lost children, or where children have suffered intensive hospitalization or permanent physical injury. So this was not, this was the judge's pick for a representative case. Thank God it's not the worst case.
On that end, we're with Matthew Bergman, who's founding attorney of the Social Media Victims Law Center. Matthew, I want you and our listeners to hear this. This is John DeMay. He's waiting for his own civil case to be heard against Meta. His son, Jordan, fell victim to online predators in a sextortion case. He took his own life. Let's listen to John DeMay.
It's quite interesting. Jordan's 4-year death anniversary is today. So it's a lot of emotions. It's the right move. It's the right decision. Really, the only way to affect change on a business in America is you can either sue them civilly or you can press legislation against them, because the only way that they're going to learn is either going to be hit in the pocketbooks or there's going to be some laws that they have to follow, right? And this is just one little crack in the system, and the floodgates are going to start to open for sure. And eventually they're going to start to fall like dominoes.
So, Matthew, this is what's coming next. When you mentioned the thousands of cases, there are going to be more and more cases like this one.
Yeah, and John, who I'm privileged to represent, and I hadn't realized that was the anniversary of Jordan's passing. But look, these companies, in what we saw in these documents, is that there are lots of people of conscience within Meta and within YouTube who are calling out to corporate leadership saying, our platforms are hurting kids, we've got to change it. And they don't respond to moral suasion. They also don't seem to respond to public humiliation. I mean, their executives have testified in front of the Senate and the House time and again and been excoriated. Doesn't matter. There have been news revelation after news revelation. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to these companies is money. And until and unless they have to pay for the consequences of their dangerous platforms and their malicious conduct, they're not going to change their behavior. So, I think if you grab them by their pocketbook, their hearts and minds will follow. That's what we're going to do. This is the first battle of many. It was a victory. I have no illusions that everything is going to be a victory. I think we're going to suffer our defeats along the way, but we are resolute in the desire and the need and the imperative to hold these companies accountable and to make the online experience safe for kids in the United States, in Canada, and throughout the world.
Has there been any indication of late, maybe in recent months, maybe the writing was on the wall for these social media companies as this trial went through, that they are changing? Has anything changed?
A little bit, yeah. They have made some changes. They actually announced some changes during the trial. We believe that's solely the result of the litigation effort that's going forward. And we commend them for that. Look, even a baby step, if it's in the right direction, is a good step. There's so much more that needs to be done. We're hopeful that by pushing forward with these cases, we will provide the economic incentives that these companies need to do what's morally right.
Matthew, to wrap up here, there are listeners who are listening to us right now sending us text messages, and it's a kind of the gist of it is, give me a break. People can control for themselves. People should be in charge of their own decisions. What do you say to that from someone who says, no, this is not on social media companies. This is on parents. This is on users.
The documents show that they deliberately targeted adolescents, knowing that their brains are not fully developed, knowing that their emotional makeup requires adulation from their peers and their friends. They deliberately made their platforms addictive, knowing that the science supports that this is a physical addiction in the brain, and that parents are doing their level best to try to keep up with their kids' social media platforms and social media use. And these platforms are expressly designed to thwart parental authority. So what I would say to that is, that's like the heroin dealer saying it's the addict's fault that they're addicted. It's not my fault. I'm just selling them the heroin. In this case, that's even worse because they are creating an addiction, and then they're blaming the kids and blaming the parents and not taking responsibility for themselves. This is all about responsibility. Meta and YouTube had their entire raison d'etre of the case was not making any effort to defend their outrageous corporate misconduct, but to blame KGM, to blame her mom, to say that these are bad kids, that these are bad families. And the jury said, we're not taking that. We're not buying that. And we expect that the people in the public will have the same reaction when they look at the evidence and they see the documents.
Congratulations on the victory in court. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Matthew Bergman, founding attorney of the Social Media Victims Law Center, represented the plaintiff in this case against Meta and Google.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.